pleasant afternoon to everyone. The problem of being the last speaker is that everyone seems to be tired of listening to several information. Anyway, I'll try to make this presentation short as I can. Okay, the title of my presentation is the concept of social acceptance of reintegrated children in conflict with the law in the Iloilo, Philippines. Now this has come into my mind because of the new policy, the breakthrough of in our juvenile justice system. We're in April 2006, there was a new policy concerning children in conflict with the law, and a real change, in breakthrough in the juvenile justice system. The passage of the Republic Act 9344, otherwise known as the new as the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006. Now the the major objective of this new policy focus on the reintegration of the children in conflict with the law within the newly established or under the newly established principle of restorative justice as against the long-time practiced punitive justice, and to facilitate the smooth and effective reintegration of children in conflict with the law to their respective families as well as the community in which they live. Now, article or rather section 44 of that same act provides that, speaks about the goal of the new law, the new policy, and that is to provide the children in conflict with the law with interventions, approaches, and strategies that will enable them to improve their social functioning with the end goal of reintegration of their families and as productive members of their society. Nevertheless, this goal, I believe, is somehow questionable considering the experiences of our children, especially those who are in conflict with the law. The stigma instituted by the society against their, and as well as their experiences and difficulties while traversing the Philippine justice system. Now, children experience insensitive trial proceedings committed by members or other the pillars of the justice system who are insensitive to children's rights and children. Yeah, that's it. And they also experience it, you see, because you're tired. They also experience efficient handling and resolution of cases. Most of the cases, especially those which involve children, can run through up to 3 to 5 years of hearing, of trial, and then, well, this adds to the difficulties experienced by the offenders or the accused. Now, inhumane conditions of detention facilities. Well, I may not explain this further because you know it. I believe so, I presume. Now, various types of coercion and dehumanization of the incarcerated children have been experienced also in the hands both of the authorities as well as the inmates, the senior inmates, where they are incarcerated. Now, violence in the hands of the arresting officers, this is very common, and I have personally handled several or millions of cases regarding this thing. Failure of the jail managers to protect the CICL or the children in conflict with the law or from harassment of the senior inmates and jail gang members. These findings actually were taken from the research conducted by the Save the Children UK, the Breaking Rules. Now, these experiences and hardships while traversing the juvenile justice system in the country blemish practically any hope for them to be reintegrated into their families and communities and become responsible, productive members of the society. And with this hypothesis, I now ask some questions. And the question would be, okay, the very question that I ask, is there any relationship between reintegration, which is the focus of the new policy, and social acceptance? Is there a relationship between the two? And I found in my review that indeed there is a significant relationship between these two. Because reintegration, especially the goal, which is the total reintegration of children in conflict with the law, could never be achieved unless the question of social acceptance is addressed. So, the questions on my research is, how do reintegrated children in conflict with the law understand social acceptance? What are the attitudes and behaviors CICL would associate to social acceptance? How do stakeholders of juvenile justice and the community understand social acceptance of reintegrated CICL? What are the attitudes and behaviors stakeholders of juvenile justice and community would associate to social acceptance of reintegrated CICL? And finally, what is the CICL's understanding of social acceptance in comparison to that of the stakeholders as well as the community? So in order to answer these questions, but before answering the question, before the methodology, I would like to explain the significance of this study, because I believe this study would give policymakers a standard foundation in setting up program priorities and resource allocations. Insights that would provide a ready guide for more responsive social programs. Form part of this study is expected to form part of the ongoing advocacy for the welfare of children in general and CICL in particular. On literature, it is also expected that the groundbreaking contribution of this study would contribute to the literature on the acceptance of CICL, because in my review of literature, I have never found any literature concerning acceptance of the most hated sector of the society, the children in conflict with the law, which was formerly called juvenile delinquents. Juvenile delinquents, the term itself has been changed because it has been found that it has a negative connotation. So, according to the experts, they must be called children in conflict with the law, which term is politically correct. Now, I have found several literature concerning social acceptance, but they are social acceptance of disabled, elderly, mentally disabled, and many other sectors, but not social acceptance. So this is basically, I claim that this is a groundbreaking um, groundbreaker in as much as literature on social acceptance of CICL is concerned. Now, I did find links among sociology, social policy, psychology, criminology, and the law. Right. And as to the methodology, I used the purely qualitative research, and in gathering data, there are two methods that I used: the focus group discussion, as much as gathering of data concerning, or rather, representing the community as well as the stakeholders of Juvenile justice concerned, and in-depth, semi-structured interviews with the children in conflict with the law. Now, as to, I vehemently give the profile of the participants, and I have interviewed practically 5 participants, children in conflict with the law, aging from 13 to 17 at the time of their offending. And as you can see, from among the 5 respondents, 4 of them have committed, shall we say, minor offenses, while the other one, the 16-year-old Peter, committed a sexual offense, which, according to Peter, according to Peter, he was just wrongly and arbitrarily accused of, because he did not do anything against the girl, but rather the girl had this boil at the time that the father discovered, and that's why she bled, and he was now, after they played, nadugo. All right. So now the findings of my research. Now, as far as stakeholders of juvenile justice is concerned, I refer to government and non-government organizations that are catering to children's welfare. They are represented accordingly, and the central thing that I have discovered in their responses was appropriate preparation of the CICL's support system. Okay, this is the central theme of their responses. When asked the question, what is social, or when can we say that children in conflict with the law is believed to have been accepted by the community? And as far as the community is concerned, the central theme is, I really saw the bias of the community against the children in conflict with the law, to the effect that they said that CICL can be accepted in the community if they will be acceptable. Because the way community perceive children in conflict with the law is that, to quote one of the respondents, he said, they are really different. They are so difficult. Now, so because of that, they must be acceptable in order to be accepted as a major thing. However, the CICL themselves talk and articulated their own sense, their own concept of social acceptance, and according to them, we are accepted by and we can feel that we are accepted by the community if the people will lead us to become, to feel, to facilitate, to channel us to feel good about ourselves. One of the respondents said, I feel good because I am important in the community. The people recognize that I am a good dancer and I am now teaching children to dance. And because of that simple thing that happened to that particular CICL, he felt good about himself. And that feeling good about himself would be facilitated by invitation to dinners, showing trust, intimacy, sympathy to their cause and their stance, intimacy with social network, family to be like Barkada because their Barkadas are more loving than their family, than their parents. They want trust, the recognition of their skills, opportunity to participate in important community activities, access to employment, equal treatment, programs to be responsive to their needs. This has been added, the programs to be responsive to their needs, because some of government programs were given to this CICL, which this CICL would not accept because they do not need, they feel they do not need the program. Now, in analyzing all of these responses, I have drawn or generated and formulated this kind of figure, and I found out that among the responses, there is only one thing that all of the three respondents came into or were in unison, and that is the poverty alleviation program. Everybody or everyone wants the poverty alleviation in order for social acceptance to happen. But we can see also the difference between, or rather the total contrast between the theme from the CICL and the community. The stakeholders and the CICL have something in common, many things in common in fact. Stakeholders and community have some things in common, but never community and the CICL. This is how that is how far the distance between the CICL and the community is. And this fact and this reality should be addressed by the new policy, by the future policy of our country. So in conclusion, the definition derived into, in as much as social acceptance of reintegrated CICL is concerned, is that it is an expression by words or deeds that guarantees identity of the CICL as part of the community. It also includes an expression of avoidance of any acts of explicit rejection or offensive criticism in relation to their being a CICL. And this is also facilitated. This is done by way of assisting the CICL to feel good about themselves, so they will transform to become more acceptable and may function in the way that the community expects them to be. And in this kind of conclusion, I have formulated a system, and the system goes like that. Okay, and it is a system of input, throughput, output, and feedback mechanism, wherein the expression of words or deeds would facilitate assistance on making CICL feeling good about themselves, which will eventually bring to social acceptance of their CICL and become more acceptable according to the community, which becomes another thesis and antithesis to be synthesized. Now, recommendations for social policy makers. Social policy makers should reflect on indicators of social acceptance of reintegrated CICL and formulation of and execution of the future policies and programs relative to reintegration of CICL. Constant policy monitoring and so on and so forth. For literature, let the project be part of the youth collection literature within social science and break the ground for deliberations concerning this social acceptance of the most hated sector the CICL. This word, most cited sector, is formulated by Bartol and Bartol. For future research, employment of the is recommended to have the, for future research. So we employ various other variables affecting reintegration of CICL, and the relevance of social structure and dynamics should be looked into for the intensification of knowledge and practice along the areas of sociology and social policy, as well as within the interdisciplinary fields of psychology, criminology, and law. Thank you very much.
I would now like to invite the other members of the panel who were unjustly forced out of the table